talk
I'm
about...
going to take up the whole lectern. This is a two-sided thing.
Oh.
Get over there and give me half.
That's right. How about if you stand
We've got to
over
both use the same
No, I'm
thing.
using this one.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah. I got a raving mic.
How come you got that one?
Well, why don't you swap sides?
There is. I don't like it, the message. Go, you do the intro, darling. You're better at waffling.
Had more experience. Well, not everybody feels the same about experiences. Obviously, as Liz has just illustrated, different ones for sort of wondering what was going on, whether she was going to spend the whole camp sort of throwing minties or...
That'd be my kind
some
of
of you
camp.
couldn't care less, and you're just having fun and enjoying yourselves, and some of you... So everybody feels different about what's going on. And one of the words that Christians find most difficult to handle is the word different. Now you say, of course I don't find that difficult at all. Everybody thinks like I do.
Or they should.
And really, we need to appreciate that many times the reason that we run into problems with people, other people, is that we want them, or we assume that they are thinking the way that we're thinking, that their thought processes are the same, and that their means of making a decision are the same as ours, or whatever it might be. And so it's important for us to realise that people are different, and there are lots of things that make them different.
Is it? Okay. We're going to use some words that really Hippocrates used, and I remember learning about these when I was in college training to be a teacher, and that was a long time ago. But they talked about different things called sanguines and phlegmatics and cholerics, and have you heard of those? Okay. Well, that's basically what we're going to be doing this morning, and these are the different temperaments.
Maybe I could put them on.
Hey.
You talk and I'll put them on.
Okay. First of all, there's the fun-loving, outgoing, friendly, bubbly, sanguine type who their main thing is fun. If you have a look at that circle there, see on the left-hand side, top one, fun. And the main thing that they ask themselves before they enter any activity is, will it be fun? Okay? It's obviously a very deep personality, very deep thinking kind of. They're good at talking. They love to talk, and they maintain great long conversations with everybody about things, even when people aren't really interested.
About nothing.
About nothing. And if you go, if you ignore them, they kind of just get louder and louder and longer. So it's better just to give them their attention straight off. When they tell a story, they embellish it all to make it more interesting to keep their audience listening and there. And of course, they don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. It's just.
Jamie Buckingham. It was said of him that it was better to read it through Jamie's eyes in his writing. He said even if you'd been there on the occasion, it was better to read it through Jamie's eyes because it was more fun.
And they need lots of excitement. Okay, and then we'll just go to them quickly through them, will we, darling? Their priority is people, by the way. What's that one? Choleric, who likes to be in control and in charge and insists on their own way, and their only way is the right way. And so their big question about life is, can I be in control? And they feel really weird when they're not in control. There's probably some of you here today who would like to run the camp and feel a bit more insecure and kind of out of place and don't really know where you fit in because you're not running it. Yes, Fred? Oh. Yeah, well, cholerics are okay. They do get the job done, but they sometimes bruise people on the way because they're very goal-oriented and sort of like if people get in the way. So
they like to run churches where there isn't any people. People who only create problems.
But they are good leaders, and they usually have followers because they are good leaders, and people respond to them in that way. And then there's, what's that one? Melancholy. And if you look at the bottom of the circle, you see their priority is feelings. They're deeply feeling people. They're always conscious of how they feel and how other people feel. And their big thing in life is perfection. They're very idealistic and they like everything to go right, and they don't like it if things are upset. You're the ones who would have been thinking, why is she doing these funny questions when we're supposed to be doing a study? Are we going to learn anything from this wussy woman? And they just... So when they ask a question about life, are they going to get involved or anything, they go, will it be perfect? Will what I can do be perfect? So with... okay, go on, Danny. You're allowed to do that now.
Gee, thanks.
So that one is phlegmatic, and he's the one who his priority is details, but their thing is effort. Is it going to take very much effort? If it's going to take too much effort, I won't do it. I'd just rather sit back and let everybody else do it. But phlegmatics are really nice people. They're usually known as Mr. Nice Guy. Now, those of you who are regulars at the camp, shut up, Heather.
It's our turn to talk now, Heather.
Those of you who are regulars at camp, remember last year there was a guy he called Uli, a blonde German guy. Do you remember him, Uli? Yeah. Well, he's from my church at Beaufort. He's one of my congregation, but he couldn't come this year. But he, probably because I was speaking, but he's just a really nice guy. Everybody says, oh, Uli's such a nice guy. Well, when people say that about somebody, you know that they're most likely to be a phlegmatic. They don't ruffle people. They don't say things the wrong way. They're very diplomatic. They just get on with everybody. They're a peacemaker. They're just a really nice person. They sound lovely, but sometimes they're hard to motivate. Uli's not. Uli's perfect. But sometimes they can just sit back and let everybody else do the work, even though they're quite capable of doing it themselves. Now, what we actually have is combinations. Can you just put red and yellow on? Good little work, aren't you? Now, you usually have more than one personality, that's dominant. It's usually about two. In fact, you have all of everything. Everybody has all of everything. But
all of everything?
Some of everything.
Thank you, Heather.
That's what I meant. You know what I meant. You know what I meant, didn't you? So Rob always says that's my combination. And so, the control one, the choleric one says, can I be in control? And the yellow one's saying, will it be fun? So I'm saying, can I control the fun, right? And this is Rob. He's a combination of the melancholy and the phlegmatic, and so he's always worried about whether it's going to be perfect and whether it's going to take much effort. So his question is, how much
effort is it going to take to make it perfect?
He doesn't do a lot of jobs around the house, folks.
Too much effort.
To make it perfect. He either gets depressed because it's not perfect, so he drops it, or he gets depressed because it's going to take too much effort, so he drops it.
Oh, dear.
Yes, well, okay. Now, we've got it down the bottom here in italics. No temperament or blend is better than another. Please remember that, although choleric sanguine, of course, is the best, as we know. But theoretically, none is better than another, and whatever you are is what God made you to be, and just enjoy it and appreciate it.
We thought we better put a couple of scriptures in there just to make it spiritual.
Well, it'd upset the melancholies if you didn't.
Oh, well, that's for sure. That's why they're there. Galatians 6:4, and it says, let each person carefully scrutinise, examine and test his own conduct and work. He can then have personal satisfaction and joy in doing something commendable without resorting to boastful comparisons. And it's very important that we don't compare ourselves and say we're better than others because of the temperament blend that God created us with. Remember that God created us this way. Sometimes we wonder, but God created us with the temperaments and blend that we have. Some of them are a little warped, I think, but anyway. 2 Corinthians 13:5, examine and test and evaluate yourselves to see whether you are holding to your faith and showing the proper fruits of it. Now, each of the temperaments has a fruit that can benefit everyone around about them. And if everybody contributes their part, then we will be able to have a well-rounded community.
Those questions there, that what temperament blend am I, is really relating back to the first page. It's just answering the questions like what am I naturally good at? Well, if you look at the first column, it's sanguines. Okay, sanguines are naturally good at talking. What do they contribute? Enthusiasm. A lot of fun around because they're enthusiastic and they're, yes, thank you, motivating. And what are the primary needs in my life? Sanguines have to have people. They've got to have people around them. They get really depressed and lonely if they don't have heaps of people around them. But interesting enough, the melancholy and phlegmatic are more introverted and they don't need so many people around. Can you imagine the roughness of our marriage? Actually, you know, what we found that you have to sort things out like this. Even if you're living in a house, sharing a house with somebody else, you've got to work this out. Because I like lots of people around all the time, you see. And you might have a flatmate or be sharing a house or something with somebody who likes quietness and solitude. And so, boring.
Wonderful.
So what happened when we were at our old church in Melbourne? For years, we started one in Burwood, and we were there for forever. And I used to have all the young people around for lunch every single Sunday, and I just thrived on it. And then after church Sunday night, they'd all come around for supper, and we'd have pizzas and videos and table tennis and billiards and
I'd
cards.
go and shut myself in the study.
And he'd go into the study, yeah. But the good thing about it is that he didn't say to me, "Why do you have to have all these people around filling the house with all this noise?" He would just go into the study, and then I didn't go roaring into the study and say, "Get out of there! You're the pastor. What are you doing sitting in the study when all these people are around here?" So you got to when you understand the temperaments, you can work together like that.
Accept each other.
Yeah, accept each other. That's it. Gosh, darling, you're amazing.
Oh, got to get it perfect. All right.
Okay, so what motivates me most is excitement. You've got to have lots. If you're a sanguine, you've got to have lots of excitement, changes in programs, spontaneous things that suddenly interrupt your day, and challenges that go off, on tangents all the time.
The other night.
No, we're not going to talk about the other night.
The other night we'd had some folk over, and we were sort of having a deep discussion, and afterwards we sort of felt like it was too hyped up to go to bed, and I said to Liz, "Let's go out and have something to eat." We hadn't had any tea, and this was about midnight, and so we went around Ballarat to see what was open.
That was a joke. We haven't got used to living in the country yet.
We find our pinkies.
So 2 o'clock in the morning we're eating pizza. Okay.
I was trying to be spontaneous for Liz's sake, you see.
It's very sweet, isn't it? It's very sweet.
Very much into feeling for you.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely. But then I look after his feelings. I go, "Darling, are you just doing this to be spontaneous, to give me excitement and challenge because I'm sanguine and I need it? Or do you really want to do it?"
Then I don't know what to say. Because whatever way I jump, I'm going to be in the wrong.
Okay, so if you look down the second column, that's the cholerics. They like long-term goals. They like it's this column here. See, you understand what I'm talking about? Okay. They're naturally good at organising. Cholerics are fantastic organisers. If you want something organised, find a choleric to do it. They contribute sacrifice. They love tasks. They make lists. They work through their lists. They find their lists after they've made them.
Melancholies make lists, but lose them.
And what motivates the most is challenges. Something's difficult. Oh, I could really get myself into that and get that done. Yes, and of course they love control. But the melancholy, they're really good at research. They contribute faithfulness. Their primary need, as we said, was feelings, and they need praise and reward, and of course perfection. And the phlegmatic, he's a more meditative, quiet type, but he's tenacious about things, but he likes security. We're not going to spend too much time on all this because we haven't got a lot of time. Okay, so everyone is different.
Yes. Family life gives temperaments its greatest chance for development. As I said, everybody thinks that they would like to think that everybody was like them, and it was just, the easygoing, and everything. Of course, we're all easygoing until we're tested. And the closer we get together, the more we are pressured by the other temperaments that are around about us.
If you go inside and open somebody's cupboard door, wardrobe door, you can usually find out, I don't do it. Don't worry. But if you did, you could find out what temperament they are. Because with a choleric, everything would be there, but unordered, but it'd be in there. A sanguines would have everything all over the place. They wouldn't have stuff in the wardrobe probably. It's, all over the chairs and the floor and the,
6
hung
inches
everywhere.
deep. We're touching home, aren't we?
But melancholies, they are so funny because they have everything. If they're really deeply melancholy, they have everything sorted by colour.
And all the shirts, so gradually moving from white to the darker colours.
Well, one guy in my church, he said, when I was talking about this, he said, I've got all my vests on blue coat hangers, all my trousers on green coat hangers, and all my shirts are on white coat hangers.
He's single-minded.
What difference does it make? One guy I know, he used to hang up his shirts and he'd start from this end, and when he'd finish with them, and they're washing them, he'd put them back that end. Is that right?
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And then he just
Cycle through, They've all got evenly worn. Okay, now, this actually impacts upon the way you live. And in the area of your devotional life, everyone relates to God differently. One uniform method of relating to God does not satisfy all people. Neither does the same method satisfy that same person at all times. How many of you can remember The Hour That Changed the World? A little book that they put out quite a few years ago. Obviously another generation. There was this book and they had this program, and you spent 10 minutes doing this, like say reading your Bible, 10 minutes, praying for the lost, 10 minutes, praying for your family.
Really?
Do you remember that? And so you did in an hour the whole thing. The only problem is they have discovered that for some people it takes anything up to 20 minutes to become productive in any one area. So for the person that is, say, 20 minutes to become productive, 10 minutes wasn't long enough. And so they felt frustrated by this 10-minute program that you had 10 minutes of this, 10 minutes that, 10 minutes something else, and so on. And so it didn't fit with those people. And you have to find your optimum devotional environment. You have to find the thing that really helps you. Some people would say, well, today I am going to spend the whole time reading my Bible. Next day they'd spend the whole time doing this, and then another day the whole time doing something else. And so we need to find something that suits us, because if we don't, we're going to be frustrated trying to measure up to what other people say we should be to be spiritual. People tell us that if you read your Bible every day, that you'll be really spiritual. How many have heard that? How many do that?
The structured, ordered melancholies, probably. They just like to get that little
Right.
routine going.
But sometimes we've got to be able to see. It says get the word into your life, but see, sometimes you might take 2 or 3 days to digest what you read on the first day, and to get that whole concept. And you want to pray about it a few days. When God speaks to you in some way, and really impacts upon your life through the word. Liz can do it. Don't worry. I need your focus. I got a little bit of sanguine in me. Now I'm just going to look at each of the 4, and the sanguines find it easier to worship and spend time with God in the company of other people. They get lonely being away from the stimulus that being with people brings. How many of you find that? You really find it hard to have a time of worship by yourself. But when you get with a few other people, you can really get into it and give it everything you've got. Right? Often their devotional life doesn't seem much fun. It's a drag. Spending time with God. No lightning yet. However, put them together with a few like-minded people, and they can soar to unheard of heights in worship. They just really take off when they get together with other people. They look for a quick fix, something that doesn't take too much hard work. They see work as dull if it isn't stimulating and or challenging. And so the sanguine person, or the person with a dominant sanguine personality, will want to get with other people when they worship. They love family devotions because with other people. They love getting with a group of people and worshipping and just doing it that way. But the cholerics are so busy they often only spend time with God on the run. It may bother them that there seldom seems to be time enough to spend quality time with God. It may bother them. This temperament finds spending blocks of quality time with God possible by scheduling a few hours or days away at a time. Regarding their relationship with God as a task to be accomplished can be the cholerics' reprieve, so long as they discipline themselves not to take other work along. You know, I know a choleric pastor. Some of you might know them too, but him too. But the fact is, he went away for a few days with God and took a stack of books like that he hadn't read, and he was making a task out of his time with God, and he was going to have God speak to him, but through these books, and so he limited, in a sense, that how God was going to speak to him, because he had a little program. Now, God, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do something else next, and that was the way that he approached his time with God. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that sometimes in doing so we can lock God out, and we can cause God to be somewhat distant from us, because we're so busy with our program that we haven't thought that God might have a program too that is different from ours. Right. The melancholy finds it easier to maintain a meaningful relationship with God than some other temperaments. They enjoy detailed, systematic study of God's Word. They're never satisfied with the quality or quantity of their time with God. They're often more faithful than other temperaments. Motivated melancholies experience great satisfaction in their relationship with God. Relationship, spiritual or natural, is very important to a melancholy person. A melancholy person will put you through the nth degree as far as if you want to be their friend, they put you through a sieve virtually, and make sure that you're going to be a quality friend. And if you don't come up to the measure, then you're just an acquaintance. And so when it comes to having a relationship with God, God passes most of the time. And but really, when it comes to natural friends, they've only got a few friends most of the time, because they feel that those people who might otherwise be friends are not coming up to the measure, the standard that they have for a friend, and so they're just acquaintances. The phlegmatics aren't often highly motivated, and that carries over into their devotional life. They find it hard work to schedule time with God, and sometimes never quite get around to it. I didn't hear too many amens then, but too much effort.